So as we are discussing Mohr circle, I have told you this is the plane, inclined plane, which is in a cylinder which is under compression, sigma 3 by its sides, and sigma 1 is applied maximum principal stress. The plane is oriented at an angle theta to the maximum principal stress, so we can calculate the normal component acting on that plane and the shear component acting on that plane from the Mohr's diagram or Mohr's stress circle, right? You can see we have taken sigma 3, sigma 1 and 2 theta. We have find out the plane P, which is representing the plane Mn. Then I have find out the vertical component of P, or vertical coordinate of P will give you the shear stress acting on it, and the horizontal component or horizontal coordinate that will give you the normal component, right? So these are the formula. Normal stress on the plane will be this total length is sigma 1 plus sigma 3 by 2 minus this much is sigma 1 minus sigma 3 by 2 cos 2 theta, right? And the shear stress is this one, sigma 1 minus sigma 3 by 2 sin 2 theta. Now we will discuss what happens when the value of theta changes, right? So taking first condition, when theta is equal to 0 degree. Theta is equal to 0 degree means the angle between the plane and the maximum principal stress is 0 degree. So what will happen? 2 theta will be equal to 0. So cos 2 theta will be cos 0 is equal to 1. Sin 2 theta will be sin 0 is equal to 0, right? So tau will become 0. Sigma minus sigma 3 by 2 sin 2 theta, that means 0, so that will become 0. Normal stress will become sigma 1 plus sigma 3 by 2 minus sigma 1 minus sigma 3 by 2. Cos 2 theta becomes 1. So by calculating this, sigma 1 plus sigma 3 minus sigma 1 plus sigma 3 divided by 2. So sigma 1 sigma will cancel out. So that will be 2 sigma 3 by 2, and that is sigma 3. Okay. So normal stress will be sigma 3 is minimum. I have told you maximum is sigma 1, sigma 3 is minimum. Okay. Or let's do the diagram. When theta is equal to 0 degree, that means this is sigma 1. As I have told, in my case what I have taken, theta is the angle between sigma 1 and the plane itself, right? So this is sigma 1, this will be sigma 3. Now the plane is here. Okay, so you can see the theta is equal to 0 degree here. That means the angle between sigma 1 and the plane. So you can see the normal stress acting on it is, you can see sigma 3 is perpendicular to it. So I have also calculated sigma 3, which is the result. So that is the minimum normal stress acting on that plane Mn, right? When theta will be equal to 0 degree, theta is angle between sigma 1 and Mn, normal stress will be sigma 3. What about tau is equal to 0? Whenever any normal stress is acting on the plane, whenever we are providing normal stress, the principal stress is normal to the plane, we will find no shear, right? There will be no shear if principal stress is acting perpendicular to the plane, either minimum or maximum. Okay, so this is the first condition, theta is equal to 0 degree. Then the next condition, theta will be equal to 90 degree. Theta will be equal to 90 degree. Then 2 theta will be equal to 180. Okay, 2 theta is 180. Then cos 2 theta will be cos 180 equal to minus 1. Sin 2 theta, that means sin 180, that will be equal to 0, right? Sin 0 equal to 0, sin 180 equal to 0. So cos 2 theta will be minus 1, sin 2 theta will be 0. then again tau will become 0, because when theta is equal to 90 degree, how we can represent in the diagram? This is the sigma 1. I have told you the angle between sigma 1 and the plane I have taken theta. So this is my plane Mn and this is my sigma 3 acting parallel to it. Now you can see sigma 1 is acting perpendicular to the plane. I have told you whenever any principal stress is acting perpendicular to a plane, we will find no shear. Then calculating for normal stress, cos 2 theta I have told, that is -1, so it will become sigma 1 plus sigma 3 by 2 plus sigma 1 minus sigma 3 by 2. Cos 2 theta is -1, this -1 into minus will become plus. So you can see sigma 3 and sigma 3 cancelled out, 2 sigma 1 divided by 2, that will be equal to sigma 1, so which is maximum. So as we have find out, when theta will become 0, sigma 1 normal stress will be minimum, that is sigma 3. When theta is equal to 90 degree, the normal stress will be maximum, that is sigma 1, you can see from the diagram itself, and the shear stress will become 0 in each case, right? Then we will find out the case of theta is equal to 45 degree. The third case, theta is 45 degree. When theta is equal to 45 degree, 2 theta will become 90 degree. Then cos 90 equal to 0, sin 90 will be equal to 1, right? So tau will become, this will become 1, so this is sigma 1 minus sigma 3 by 2, which is maximum. As we have seen earlier that whenever it will be, in other case theta is 0 or 90, it will be 0, tau will be 0. Whenever it will be 45 degree, it will have some value, so that is maximum. You can see this is the Mn plane, this is my sigma 1, this is my sigma 3, right? So some normal stress will be here and some shear stress will be here. So in this case, whenever angle is 45 degree, we will find tau is maximum, right? Then for normal stress, so cos 2 theta will be equal to 0, so that will have sigma 1 plus sigma 3 by 2, which is intermediate. I have told you sigma 3, whenever theta is equal to 0 degree, sigma 3 will be the normal stress, that is minimum, theta will be equal to 90 degree, sigma 1 will be normal stress will be maximum, that is sigma 1. In between that, at 45 degree, it will have some intermediate value or the average value, you can see average of sigma 1 and sigma 3, sigma 1 plus sigma 3 by 2, right? So these are all about the conditions whenever theta changes, what happens to shear stress or normal stress acting on that plane. Okay, next we will move to Morse envelope. So we have calculated Morse circle. We have calculated normal stress and shear stress acting on this plane from Morse circle. Now what is Morse envelope? See, this is an experiment, and how it is done? It is the combination of some Morse circles, right? Morse envelope we will get by the combination of some Morse circles. So how we will draw the Morse circle? Let's say, for example, I am telling some material is there, one material is there, right? I am giving here it is sigma 3, here it is sigma 3, and I am giving some maximum principal stress, or I am giving some applied stress sigma 1. Sigma 3 is the confining one, I have told you already during Mohr circle. This is the confining and this is the applied one, right? So thing is that what will happen if the material is under some confining stress, I will apply some applied stress like sigma 1, okay? What will happen? I am going to increase that applied stress with increase in confining stress. I have told you in the stress strain diagram, while teaching stress strain diagram, I have told you the material which is at the surface, I have told you the surface material is, if any material which is at the surface, if it behaves like brittle substance at depth, it will behave like ductile substance. For a material, I have told you when it is at the surface, it behaves like brittle substance. That means it will not undergo any plastic deformation. After elastic deformation, it will break down, and then at depth, it will behave as ductile. That means elastic, plastic, and then rupture. It will attain 3 stages. I have already told you these things. So why I am telling it here? If I am increasing the confining stress at depth, what will happen? I am increasing the confining stress. From surface, I am taking that material from surface to the depth. That means I am increasing the confining stress. Increase in confining stress that is confining stress will increase the strength of rock, That's why it is behaving like ductile, right? The increase in confining stress will increase the strength of the rock, strength of the material. So what happens? We are doing a lab experiment, like I am putting a material under some confining stress, I am applying some sort of stress. So what will happen? At some point the material will rupture at that confining stress, right? I am increasing this sigma 1. Let's say for example, now this material is under 0 confining stress. That means I am not applying any confining stress, and I will give applied stress, right? Let's say for 0 confining stress, the material will rupture or it will develop fracture, right? Let's say fracture will develop okay at 10 unit, let's say for example, okay, when confining stress is 0 unit, okay, 0 unit means unit of stress. If that is 0 unit, the material will rupture at 10 unit, let's say for example. Then I am increasing sigma 3 to, let's say, 5 unit, okay. If I will increase sigma 3 to 5 unit, then what will happen? 10 unit is, as I have told, 10 unit is the strength of the material. That means the material can tolerate up to 10 unit stress. Then after that it will rupture. Okay, fracture will develop beyond, I can write it beyond 10 unit, right? The material is under some confining stressor. In first case, that is 0. I am not applying any confining stress. I am putting the applied stress. Beyond 10 unit, the material will break down. That means I am increasing the applied stress and watching when it is going to rupture. Okay, at what stage, at what amount of stress it is going to rupture. Then I have increased the sigma 3 to 5 unit. Then, as I have told, if I increase the confining stress, then the strength of the material will increase. If the strength of the material will increase, it will not get fractured at 10 unit in the previous case, as in the previous case. So then sigma 1 will become means I have to increase sigma 1 to break this material, or to make fracture in this material. I have to increase the sigma 1. Let's say sigma 1 will become 20 unit. Okay, with small increase in sigma 3 I am finding higher amount of sigma 1 to make a rupture or to make a fracture in the material, right? As I have told you, with increase in confining stress the strength of the material increases rapidly, right? So in this case at 5 unit confining stress 20 unit is the strength of the material. 20 unit is the strength means beyond 20 unit the material will rupture. Okay, beyond 20 unit the material will rupture. Then if I will increase, this is for example, then if I will increase sigma 3 to 10 unit, then what will happen? Sigma 1 will break in, let's say 40 unit. Okay, let's say for example, if I will increase the confining stress to 10 unit, in first case I have taken 0, then 5, then 10 unit, then what will happen? The sigma 1 will increase to 40 unit. That means, for example, that means after 40 unit the material is going to break down, or the material is going to attain rupture, or it will develop fracture beyond 40 unit. The strength is 40 unit, right? So if I will take, as I have told you, Mohr circle is in between minimum and maximum principal stress. We are plotting the Mohr circle by using minimum and maximum principal stress. So here minimum is the confining one and maximum is the applied one. Okay, the maximum limit. So if I will plot in the first case 0 and 10, then in the second case 5 and 20, then in the third case 10 and 40. So I will get 3 more circles. Okay, so let's draw that, then we will go to next. So as I have told, if I am increasing the confining stress, the applied stress, or sorry, the strength of the material will increase. That means I have to increase the applied stress to break the material, right? So let's say, as in the first case I have told, here in the x-axis this is sigma n, that means normal stress, and here this is shear stress, right? So as I have told, in the first case the sigma 3 is 0, right? This point is 0, 0. Here the sigma 3 is 0 and I am getting 10 unit. Okay, it is sigma 3 and this is sigma 1. I have told you the end points of the Mohr circle will give you, or the diameter in x-axis will give you sigma 3 minimum, sigma 1 is the maximum. Then I have increased the sigma 1 to 5, right? Then it will show, as I have told, in 5 it will show, let's say 20, right? Okay, then if I will increase it to 10, then it will show 40, like this, right? That means if I am increasing the sigma 3, if I am increasing this point sigma 3, you can see sigma 1 is increased as well as the diameter is also increased from the previous case. You can see, let's put one more circle here. Okay, like this. As I have told, 0, 5, 10, I can put 0, 2.5, 5, 7.5, then 10, like this. So you can see, as I am moving from, as I am increasing the sigma 3, as I am increasing the sigma 3, these are the sigma 3, right? These are the sigma 3, the lower limit of the circle. If I am increasing the sigma 3, the sigma 1 value are increasing to break the material. As I have told you, this limit will tell us that is the strength of the material. Beyond this limit, the material will break down. That means if the material is under zero confining stress. If the material is under zero confining stress, it will absorb the stress without rupture, without getting ruptured, right? Without getting ruptured, it can absorb up to 10 unit. Beyond 10 unit, it will break down. If I am increasing that to 5, then it can absorb up to 20. Beyond 20, it will break down like that. So I have plotted so many more circles. By increasing sigma 3 values, I am getting increase in sigma 1 values, as well as I am getting the diameter increasing. What is the diameter here? Diameter of a Mohr circle. Diameter of a Mohr circle is sigma 1 minus sigma 3, okay, which is also known as the difference in maximum and minimum principal stress. You can see this is sigma 3, this is sigma 1, so this will become sigma 1 minus sigma 3, which is known as stress difference, which is known as stress difference, okay, which is known as stress difference, sigma 1 minus sigma 3. That means the difference between maximum principal stress and the minimum principal stress is known as the stress difference, which is the diameter of the Mohr circle. So if I will increase sigma 3, if I will increase sigma 3, sigma 1 will increase and sigma 1 minus sigma 3 will also increase. That means the maximum applied stress to attain the rupture in the material will increase, as well as the maximum as well as the stress difference will also increase, okay. So you can see I am increasing the diameter as well as increase the value of sigma 3, okay. For example, let me explain by example. For the first case, the stress difference is 10 minus 0. Maximum was 10, minimum was 0 for the first case. In the second case, 20 minus 5. The examples what I have written before. In the third case, 40 minus 10. These are the stress difference or the diameter of the Mohr circle. You can see this is 10 unit, this is 15 unit, this is 30 unit. So the maximum values are increasing 10, 20, 40, as well as the diameter or the stress difference are also increasing, right? So I have plotted so many Mohr circles by taking increased value of sigma 3, for which I will get increased value of sigma 1 and as well as the diameter of the Mohr circle or the stress difference. Now if I will plot a tangent to these circles, let's say I am plotting a tangent to the circles, right? Okay. Now if I will plot a tangent to these circles, that plane, this tangent plane will represent Mohr's envelope. This tangent plane will represent Mohr's envelope. Okay, so this tangent plane, they represent the Mohr's envelope. So what do you mean by this Mohr's envelope? I have told you I am taking sigma 3. For that sigma 3, the material will absorb some stress, absorb up to some stress. Beyond that will break down. Then I will increase sigma 3. Then up to certain limit, that will absorb. Beyond that will break. So that means this envelope, this line, that means if I will increase for the first Mohr circle, when sigma 3 is 0, sigma 1 is 10. If I am making sigma 1 11, the diameter is increased, right? If I am making sigma 1 11 with sigma 3 0, the material will fail, the material will rupture. For the second case, if at 5 it is absorbing up to 20. If I will make 21, then the material will rupture. That means if I will increase the diameter of the circle, or increase the maximum principal stress, the material will break down at that particular confining stress. That means if any point beyond this envelope, right, any point, any combination of sigma 1 and sigma 3 beyond this envelope, if I will plot a circle which is beyond this envelope or beyond this tangent plane, that will show you the breakdown of material, that will show you the rupture of the material. If I am taking any circle within this envelope, let's say I am taking a circle here, this circle suggests that sigma 3 is having this value, sigma 1 is having this value. That means in this confining stress, in this applied stress, the material is stable, it will not attain rupture, If I will increase this sigma 3 to like this, okay, that will be bigger. So if this sigma 3, I am increasing sigma 1 so that the circle is going out of the Morse envelope, that means the material will fail, the material will attain rupture, or the material will develop fractures, right? That means at a particular confining stress up to certain limit, the material is stable when it is within this Morse envelope. If it is beyond that, then the material will rupture. So that is the role of Morse envelope, Then how to find out the equation of this Morse envelope? As I have told you, this is your normal stress, this is your shear stress in y-axis, this is in x-axis, that is normal stress. So the equation of a straight line, you can see this is a tangent plane in 2D, this is a tangent line. So equation of a line is y is equal to mx plus c, here y is tau, x is sigma n, then what is c? For c, this point will give you c, which is represent as tau naught, What does that mean? You can see in x-axis that is 0, in y-axis that is tau naught. Okay? Any point in this graph, that will give you two coordinates. Okay, that will give you two coordinates. X coordinate is sigma n, y coordinate is tau, right? So this point will give you 0, tau naught. That means when normal stress is 0, tau naught is the shear strength, as I have told, within this limit, within this envelope, that is the strength. The material is capable of handling those stress, or capable of absorbing those stress, okay, without getting rupture. Beyond that, that will rupture. So if normal stress is 0 or confining stress is 0, the material can bear up to this much shear stress. At 0 normal stress, 0 confining stress, the material can bear up to tau naught shear stress without getting rupture, right? This is known as cohesive strength. So what is cohesive strength? As all of you know, cohesion means the particle-particle interaction. Cohesion defines the particle-particle interaction in a material. Adhesion means particle and container. So here the cohesive strength means the strength of the material due to cohesion. I am not applied any sigma 3 here, because in the x-axis that is 0. I have not applied any confining stress here. But the material can bear up to this much shear stress, tau naught. So that is the cohesive strength. That is the strength of the material due to cohesion. Okay? I am not giving any confining stress. I am not giving any support to it. Okay? That is due to the cohesive strength. So this is the constant. This is the constant for a material. So that is C. X, all of you know, that is sigma n. Pi all of you know, that is tau. The next point is m. Next is m. M means the slope of the tangent. M is the